Meeple Nation Podcast, episode 436. Let's tread some water in these nautical games.
Welcome, citizens of Meeple Nation. For the next 30 minutes, sit back and enjoy.
Meeple Nation Podcast is sponsored by GameToppersLLC.com. Go to their website, check out their product. They have some toppers that can go on top of any gaming surface, even the floor, and make that surface into a gaming wonder. You can enhance that game topper with a game topper mat. These mats are full of awesome artwork, vibrant colors, and very sturdy. We've spilt orange drinks on them. We've spilt water on them. Andy's even had his kid vomit on them, and they've cleaned up nicely. High quality, nice stitched edges, 3mm mats, drink holders, goblet holders, dice towers, bit holders, anything you need for your game night, GameToppersLLC.com has. Enhance your game night. We have 2 Watsons here. Andy has 3 Mycrofts at his house. They are by far the best upgrade you will ever do for your game night. That's GameToppersLLC.com.
I don't think Berkey knows how much we've done the integrity testing on these mats.
We should let him know sometime.
We are your hosts of Meeple Nation. I am Andy Holliday.
I'm Nathan Howard.
I'm Dave Holliday, and moment of silence.
Logan's not here.
And we didn't even have Doug to fill in for him.
No, we're down one today. Check out our website, meeplenation.com. We have links to all of our past episodes. We will also have links to all of our future episodes on meeplenation.com. We also have all of our blogs. We have guest bloggers, and then each of us have written several blogs. We have quite a few blogs on our website now. Most of us have written several blogs. Only one of us has only written one blog. Sorry, Dave. I was getting looks from Dave. Guilty looks. We also have a link to our Patreon. If you like what we do, would be interested in helping us out and making Meeple Nation better, jump over to our Patreon page and support us. Very much appreciate any support you can send us. Love and appreciate those who have already jumped onto our Patreon page and are supporting us now. Thank you so much. If you have any questions or comments, please send us an email at meeplenation@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you.
It's a new theme, and this week we are kicking off our discussions of games based on nautical themes.
So when you think of the nautical-themed games, what is the very first game that pops to your mind?
It's funny, the game that comes to my mind first is one that I've only played once, and we've tried to get it to the table multiple times, and it just never works out, and that's Captain Sonar. You can play it turn-based, or it's we have never tried it this way, a much better game if it's played in real time. You sit on the table and you sit on opposite sides of the table, your team versus the other team. You're both in submarines and you are trying to sink or eliminate your opponent. Each person on your side of the table is going to have a role like the captain, the navigator. Fulfill these roles, communicate to each other while you have an opponent on the opposite side is trying to pick up information to help their team without giving away information of their own. I really like the idea of this game. I like the chaos that it would allow. A little frustrated that we've only played this game as a turn-based game. I would love to play it in a full real-time event. But oddly enough, that was the first game that came to my mind when you mentioned nautical games. A long list of games that we have amongst ourselves. Oddly enough, the game that came up first in my mind is one that I've only played once.
The one that came to my mind first is one that I've only played once as well. And it's one of the few games that I do actually own, although technically you have owned it for a long time. I think you might have tried to sell it. No, actually, this is the one that you remembered was mine. It's Cape Horn.
Yeah, Cape Horn, always knew that was your game. Other games have been brought to game night and then abandoned. I'm going to use my air quotes there. When I have had possession of the game more than 4 times the amount that you had possession of the game, I feel like at that point, 9/10 of the rule is possession. So
right.
It's my game. But no, actually, no, that game is yours.
Cape Horn it's a really simple game. Essentially, you're all captaining boats and trying to race around Cape Horn. I don't honestly remember the gameplay. I just remember that's what the game is. It was okay.
Cape Horn is the tip of South America, used still by many shipping lanes that don't use the Panama Canal. Traversing the path along Cape Horn, it's very dangerous waters. Many a ship was lost.
What about you, Andy?
First one that came to my mind was a game that you both love, Cooper Island.
I got really excited when you said it was a game I love, because there's a game I love. It's not Cooper.
I actually really liked Cooper Island. I only played it the one time.
Oh, I thought you didn't like it.
No, that was me.
That was Nathan.
I liked it. I think maybe somebody thought I wouldn't like it, but I think somebody else thought I would. Anyway, I liked it. I don't know how much. I'd like to try it again.
It's one you have to play a couple of times,
Right.
I think.
I've played it twice. I did improve, and
You
I
did.
did get better. My understanding of the game got better, but unfortunately so did everybody else's. So I just need to play with somebody who's their first time so that I can get it maybe more of a firm grasp of the rules. It wasn't a bad game by any means, but at first, there's a lot to wrap your head around in that game.
There really is. Definitely a learning curve to it. The other one was that one and Dead Reckoning, which we spoke about 2 months ago. But that's probably right now my favorite nautical game, Dead Reckoning. So Dead Reckoning is a card crafter game where you are going out and exploring different islands, trying to gain control. There's some area control aspect to it, basically trying to get money. Coins are worth points at the end of the game. You're trying to gain money, you're trying to gain achievements. Once somebody has gained 4 achievements, that will trigger the end of the game. You're going to be upgrading your crew, leveling them up, upgrading them with different advancements, the little transparent sleeves, similar to Mystic Vale. It's actually John DeClaire, the game designer of Mystic Vale, and same game designer for this game. The reasons why I got the game, well, kind of a dumb reason to buy the game, but I just loved the fact that Dice Tower, when you're doing your ship battles, you're dropping them down a ship and the cubes are shooting out broadside cannons, and I thought that was just cool as heck, so I had to buy the game. Luckily, I was not disappointed. Otherwise, I had just paid a nerd tax. It's such a great game.
Those are some great first impressions. I'm surprised Forgotten Waters wasn't on your list.
I thought about it later. Those were the first 2 that came to my mind. I love Forgotten Waters, though. It's right up there. As far as nautical games, oh my goodness. So good.
God, it seems like we've talked about Forgotten Waters several times. But if you haven't caught any of those episodes, Forgotten Waters is a fantastic game. It's very much a story-based game, and it's app-driven, and the app is phenomenal.
The app makes the game.
It does, totally.
Absolutely. Who knows what they spent on it? It seems like they invested a great deal in both the writing and the voice acting. The voice acting on here, it is excellent. It's a little unique. Everybody plays a different role on the ship. We're on the same ship. We each have our own backstory. Before the game starts, when you're given your role, it's just a little sheet of paper. You're going to fill in a few blanks, and it's kind of like a Mad Gabs kind of a thing. Throughout the game, as you unlock different story points, it'll tell you to read your thing. And we have had some just absolutely hilarious times playing this game, both because of the app and because of the Mad Gab character backstories. You're on the same boat, working for the same captain. It's different stories you go through. The choices that you make will affect different things that happen during the story. It has this really cool book, flip through, and it tells you, flip to this page, and there's some scenery on there, and it could be there's another boat, and you end up having to fight this other boat, or you could end up having to fight a kraken. A lot of different things. And there's some things that are just crazy. And it's different. Like I said, they put a lot of work into the story. I remember this one time the action that I chose had me go into a tavern and I was playing darts. You roll a die to see how good you do at the task that you're doing. You'll add some attribute points based on what you've done so far in the game and if you've leveled up anything. And I rolled really, really poorly. And so I threw the dart backward, hit somebody in the backside. That caused chain reaction of different things. The bar exploded as I was walking out. And if I remember right, my character got back to the boat and was like, "Did you guys see what that?" I don't remember exactly what the outcome was.
You claimed it was some sort of enemy and everybody held you up
That's
as
right.
a hero,
Yeah.
even though it was a total mistake.
And so I gained all this fame or whatever from it, right? Infamy, which is another cool part of the game too, right? The infamy, the more infamous you are, the earlier you go in turn order when choosing what actions you want to do.
Which is interesting because you wouldn't think that would be a big deal, but it really is a big deal in
Right.
the game because you're trying to progress your character's story and get your attributes up because as you raise those attributes, you're going to check off the stars are in those boxes. Whenever you cross off a star, you get to cross off a star on the constellation on the front of your character sheet. Each time you cross off a star in the constellation, then you're going to unlock a new part of your story.
Right.
And however many you unlock throughout the game will determine whether you've had victory or an epic victory. It's important that you get yourself leveled up. And when you go last, sometimes you get forced into choices and you don't have a choice. You have to do certain actions because the red actions on those boards, someone has to do it. And if you're the last player, guess what? You're stuck doing that.
But overall, we have had a ton of fun with that game.
And like Nathan said, the voice acting makes that game. Most memorable parts of that have been the story's been hilarious. The writing is actually really good. So it's not just the voice acting, but the writing is phenomenal in it. Yeah, I agree. The app makes that game.
Anytime you have the chance to taunt the enemy, I suggest
do it.
Yes.
Yes, totally do it.
So as we're talking about these nautical games, it takes me back to a game that I played when I was a lot younger. It's an old game from 1975 that was really kind of a crappy game, but it had a huge impact for me because it had a very cool mechanic in it. And this game is Bermuda Triangle, 2 to 4 player game, lasts only 30 minutes. You're trying to take your boat around these shipping lanes around the Bermuda Triangle, and there's the storm that is aloof. Sometimes the storm will cross your shipping path and cross over your boats. Sometimes as the storm goes through, your boat's going to survive, no problems. Other times as the storm goes over, your boat's going to disappear. And that's because there's magnets underneath, and as the storm goes over, if it turns just right, that magnet will connect with the magnet on your boat disappears. I don't really remember playing this game very much, and I don't remember if I ever won the game, lost the game, whatever, but this game mechanic has stuck with me forever. I always have very fond memories, not necessarily memories of playing the game, but memories of the game itself. I think I'd probably set it up on the floor and just try to spin the storm so that it would pick up my boats. I was enthralled with this, and so when we started talking about these nautical games, that was one that I found at a thrift store, piece of nostalgia for me. And I never opened the game to see if it's intact even. I have this game box. Hopefully the game's inside it. I'm never going to open it so that I can imagine that the game's inside it. Great game from my youth, Bermuda Triangle.
So one of the better pirate games I own is Merchants and Marauders. This is a game I haven't played in a while. I feel like it has a lot of depth for a fairly simple game. When you start the game, everybody gets a random captain, and this is taking place in the Caribbean. It has all the different islands in the Caribbean, it has the Caribbean Sea, and all the different ports that were there during that time. And each player is going to choose their ship. They either get to choose a flute or a sloop. Kind of depends on which route you want to take as a player. So you can be a merchant, or you can be a marauder or a pirate in the game. That will determine which ship you want to take. If you want to be a pirate, you're going to want to take the more maneuverable ship. Doesn't necessarily carry as much cargo, but is going to be better for attacking. Better at chasing down ships than making sure they can't escape. If you're going to be a merchant, you want to make sure you carry as much cargo as you can because you're trying to deliver that cargo. It's a race to get the most glory. The first player to get to 10 glory is going to win the game. And there are various ways to get glory. One of the main ways, or the two main ways to get glory, are either to complete missions, which there are always 2 missions that will be placed on the board. They'll just be mission cards. When you draw that card, it'll tell you which island or which port to place that card at. You have to go to that port. Typically, you have to do something like leadership check, gain the mission card. Place that mission card on your board, and when you complete the mission, whatever reward it is, and whenever you complete a mission, you also get a fame point. The other way is by gaining a rumor. You can go and take a port action and roll your influence. Succeed at your influence check, then you gain a rumor card. Rumor cards are typically easier to complete. However, it could be a false rumor, which means you didn't find anything. Someone was just telling you a tall tale. The way that happens is when you get to wherever the rumor is taking place. So, for example, let's say there was someone that was marooned on this particular island. You go there, you do your check. It'll tell you what check you need to roll. It's typically going to be one of the 4 attributes that you have on your captain card. If you pass the check, that was an accurate rumor, you successfully completed that rumor, you get whatever reward was on the card, and you get the fame point. If you failed the check, then it was a false rumor and someone just sent you on a wild goose chase, and you have to go find another rumor. You only have 1 rumor and 1 mission card in the game. However, rumors, some of them will give you permanent benefits that can benefit you throughout the game. For example, it may make it so when you go to that port where you just completed that rumor, get rumors for free. You don't have to make a roll for it. You can always collect a rumor there. There's a lot going on. On top of that, you have NPC pirate ships and NPC frigates that are from the different countries going around trying to hunt you down, depending on whether you're a pirate and you have wanted tokens, or if you don't, if you're a merchant. There can be British ships, French, Dutch, and Spanish. And each island will also have some sort of nationality attached to it, of that nation that controls that island. If you are wanted, for example, if I'm wanted by the Spanish, I can't go to a Spanish port unless it's my home port. Also, if a Spanish frigate is on the board and we draw an event card that moves that Spanish frigate, it's going to move towards me, trying to hunt me down because I'm wanted by the Spanish. If I'm not wanted at all and the pirate ship moves, then the pirate ship's going to go after me. Or even if I am wanted and I have gold on my ship, the pirate ship's still going to go after me. There's a lot going on with the game, but once again, it's a fairly simple and straightforward game. Really fun, though. There's 3 actions you can do on your turn. You can move, scout, looking for other ships, or you can take a port action. And one of the things that you can look for in each sea region at the beginning of the game, you will place a merchant ship token face down, and you can scout for those merchant ships and pillage those ships. Once that token's gone, then you'll remove it from the board and you'll flip it over and it'll show what flag is on the back. And if you attacked that ship, then you now gain a wanted token from that nation. In order to find those ships, you have to successfully scout for the ships. The port action, a lot of different things you can do. The port is kind of where the meat of the game is, that and when you do battles. Ultimately, you just go around trying to gain fame points, completing missions, completing rumors. If you successfully pillage 12 coins off of a merchant ship or a player ship, for that matter, that also gives you a fame point. So there's quite a few different ways to get fame points throughout the game. But first player to get to 10 wins. It's a great game.
Interesting. How long have you had this game?
I've had it for years.
I've never seen it.
I actually have the expansion for it too.
Huh. It's one we should try. I'd like to try it. Deep Blue is a game I've played just once. I'd really like to play it again. Actually, can I borrow that game? No? Okay. I was just checking. This is a game that we played game night one night. It's a lighter game. Not typically my favorite, typically like the bigger, more in-depth game. But this one I thought was really cool. And it was one that I think that my wife and kids would really enjoy. Everybody has 2 boats. You have a starting deck of cards. It's kind of a deck builder and a press your luck game. You decide where you want to dive for treasure. And as you're diving, that's when you're kind of flipping over cards and determining if you want to keep going. Reaching into a bag and pulling out some treasure, and then you have to decide if you want to keep going. You run the risk of losing it all, or you can get more treasure, more valuable treasure. The different crew that you use on a dive will determine the points that you're going to earn based off the treasure that you pull up. And that was a really cool, fun little game.
Yeah, I like this game too. It's very simple. It's not a very long game. The pressure luck aspect of it is something that my wife really likes, and it's a game that she has enjoyed several times as we've played it. You're spot on, Dave. I think it's one that your family, your wife will enjoy playing. Anyone from Briggs to Jack will like this game. Even your older kids, Nola and Beyonce, would like this game.
Right? In fact, this is one that I would totally like to get for them. Noodles is my daughter that is just getting married to Beyonce, her fiance. I do nicknames for everybody. You know this. Ben, her fiance, his nickname is Beyonce, thanks to Carson.
So how come I don't have a nickname? Or Logan? You got something against the Howards?
You do.
A little bit.
He just doesn't say it when you're around.
I get that. Another one that I really enjoy is a very simple, it's a small little box. It's one of these Oink games. Box that's almost the size of a standard playing cards, just a little bit bigger. Deep Sea Adventures. You're sharing a submarine with your opponents, each diving into the water to recover treasures from the bottom of the sea. Catch is you're sharing oxygen. As you dive into the ocean, you dive too deep and you pick up something that's heavy, you're using more oxygen and you try to swim back before your opponents use up all the oxygen. Whomever can make it back to the submarine in 3 rounds and collect the most treasure is going to be the winner. The first time we played this game, actually the first couple of times we played this game, funny because none of us ever made it back to the submarine. We're always willing to push ourselves too far. And then the third game, it was a very low scoring game because nobody would go more than like 5 spots away from the submarine because they were scared that they wouldn't make it back.
Nice.
Very simple little game. Packs a lot of game in that small little box, kind of like those tiny epic games. Deep Sea Adventures is a great game that you can put in your pocket, take it and play it most anywhere. Deep Sea Adventures.
A game that we have played, but not near enough. The last time we played this was at BryceCon. We introduced Will to this game, and that is Sleeping Gods. This is a game designed by our friend Ryan Lockett. Take on the roles of Captain Sophie Odessa and her crew. You're lost in a strange world in 1929 on your steamship called the Manticore. And you have to work together to survive by exploring exotic islands, meeting new characters, and to seek out the totems of the gods so that you can return home. barely touched the surface of this game, but it has been really fun. The story part of it is really cool. The adventure and exploration side of it's really neat. I love how the map book works as you're exploring the different places on the map with your ship. Depending on where you move as you move off the map, depending on which side of the map you move off of, will dictate which page you flip to and you start on a new spot. Opens up new possibilities, new places to explore. Honestly, the adventure book is huge. There's a lot of story and a lot of content, and that's something that we really, really need to get to the table consistently, at least.
Yeah, totally.
We have so dang many campaign and legacy games going on. It's so hard to consistently play, and honestly, getting the same people to game night can be a challenge to play games like this. But our times that we have played it, I've really enjoyed it. It's been a fun game.
Another game that my wife really enjoys that fits in here is called Reef. This is a game that she played at SaltCon. Then we ended up bringing it home from SaltCon. She liked it so much that she said, we need to buy it. And so she bought a couple of games. It's kind of interesting. When Nathan Tenney and I first went to SaltCon, we both went away from there going, oh man, I could have spent so much more money. I didn't spend hardly anything. Surprise again. Nathan took home a couple of games. He wanted to take home a whole bunch more, but he didn't want to get in trouble. And so it was interesting. I brought my wife, and that's the first time we've ever come home from SaltCon with games. She played a few that she really enjoyed. But Reef, pretty simple game. This is a game that I've played with my kids and we've had fun with. It's a pretty game too, a visually pleasing game. You're collecting little pieces of coral, place them on your board, which is a little... On your turn, you can either pick up a card and add it to hand. When you do that, you're going to gain the coral on that card. There's 5 different colors, I believe. Put those coral pieces on your board. You have a 4x4 board, and you can stack them on top of each other. They're actually kind of chunky, these pieces. They're these colorful plastic pieces that you can stack on top of each other. And you're creating pattern. You are the coral reef, essentially, and you're creating these patterns. The cards that you pick up also, if you have the coral in the specific orientation as they are shown on the card, you're going to get points on a future turn when you decide to play that card and collect those points. It's a really simple game, but it really does provide a good amount of strategy and competition. It's really enjoyable.
Reef is a great game. My wife really enjoys as well. It's an excellent family game. Easy to teach, easy to play. One of my earliest experience with any sort of a nautical game was Catan. Catan introduced the Seafarers expansion. This actually introduced me to 2 amazing game mechanics that I very much love. That is exploration and discovery. You have to build your boats, and then you're going to set those boats out onto undiscovered tiles, flip those tiles over, and be able to discover new islands that surround the island of Catan. I got a little carried away. Would make this very elaborate map that would fill up a whole 3x6 table. When game people would come down to game night, they would see this extravagant Catan game. It would last. You would have loved it, Dave. I'm not sure if you ever played any of these. Some of these epic Catan games would last like 3 hours as you're trying to manipulate the game to build resources, to get out to explore, discover the other islands. For me, it was a ton of fun. Being able to experience those new mechanics to me that I actually seek out today in a lot of games. Legacy-driven, that exploration and that discovery, a lot of that stems from my early plays with Seafarers of Catan.
I got to play Seafarers just once, it seems. I was always wanting to because I wanted to try out those new expansions. I think I only ever got to play Cities and Knights twice.
Well, if you want, I can get us a table here, set it up next week, and we'll have this epic 4-hour game of Settlers of Catan, including all the Seafarers expansion. No, I'm not going to do that.
I was going to say that would be really cool, except like as Andy was talking about, we have too many other games to do, like Seafall.
One of my all-time favorite co-op games is a pirate-themed game, Dead Men Tell No Tales. If you get a chance to play this with the expansion, Kraken expansion, I would highly recommend it. Definitely adds a level of difficulty to it, but definitely a level of fun. I've talked about this game in the past, and I've talked about it being a very cinematic game, and it is. It's very easy to immerse yourself into this game. You are all pirates, and you have crippled another pirate ship. This pirate ship is a cursed pirate ship manned by undead crew. Your goal is to get all of the treasure off of the ship and get all of your crew off of the ship before the ship explodes. Now, there's a lot of things going on. There are so many ways to lose this game. Bag of deckhands runs out, you're going to lose the game. Run out of pirates, the game is over as well. If the ship explodes, the game is over as well. If you're using the Kraken expansion, you also have to kill the Kraken. So you have to get all the treasures off, get all your people off, and kill the Kraken in order to win the game.
That's one of the things I love about this game is, like, if somebody's pirate dies, they can just bring in another pirate, right? Because there's 7 total pirates?
7 total, I believe. I think with
pirates?
8 with Kraken expansion, I believe.
Your character dies, then, well, next man up. Grab the next one, play that one, and hopefully you survive. Somebody else dies, they bring in another one. If you have somebody die and you can't bring in another pirate,
that's it.
Game over.
Game over. And what's so great about this game is your pirates are boarding this ship that is on fire. As one of your actions, you can fight fire to try to reduce the fire. As you're moving through the fire, you're becoming more exhausted. If your pirate gets too exhausted, that's one of the ways your pirate can be defeated. The fire keeps growing, so at the end of your turn, you're going to flip over a card, and that's going to have a die with a pip value on there. And there are red dice and yellow dice on the board. Whatever it depicts on that card, that fire is going to increase. If the fire ever gets to a 6, all these dice are 6-sided dice that are on the board. If it ever gets to a 6, that room explodes and is destroyed, and will increase the fire level on all adjacent rooms where there's an open door. There can be a huge chain reaction if you don't try to control the fire levels on the ship. Yes, the ship's on fire. Yes, you caused the fire, but you're still trying to put out that fire a little bit so that you can get that treasure before all mayhem breaks loose. Not only that, I love the fact that each of the pirates has their own asymmetrical power. There are several items that you get to use throughout the game. The other beautiful thing about this game, which I love how they've done this because it's a co-op game, you have coins that you get to use as actions. You only have as many actions on your turn as you have coins. Now, if you choose to not use all of those coins as actions, you can actually pass those to the player to your left, and that will increase their action count for their turn. However, those coins will go back to you. They don't continue to pass around the table. If there's something that somebody really is in a better position to do and they need a couple of extra actions to be able to do it, you can pass your actions to the player to the left. As far as the co-op side of it, it adds an additional layer of strategy to it as you're working together to removing deckhands, whether it's fighting the skeleton crew, whether it's fighting the guards that will actually give you the treasure, trying to put out some fires so you're not getting so exhausted as you're running through the ship, or trying to kill the Kraken. There's so much going on and so much to do. You really do have to work together in order to beat the game. Once again, because there are so many ways to lose the game. If you don't work together, you're probably going to lose. It is not an easy game to play, but it's a lot of fun.
You describe it as a cinematic game because it very much is. I mean, it feels like you're involved in this pirate raid. There's fire, there's danger. It's easy to get absorbed into what's going on in the game. We talked a couple weeks back about Abomination. Well, actually, you guys talked about it. I listened. But Abomination is another one of those games that the theme is just so steeped into the game that you just can't really get away from it. Dead Men Tell No Tales is a great thematic game.
Plus, there's rum. You can't have a pirate game without rum. I agree, Nathan. Every time I've played this, I've been left wanting to set it all up and play it again. It plays differently enough every time, and there's memorable moments every play that we've done that doesn't feel repetitive. I've really enjoyed it.
Hopefully, some of the games we've talked about are games that are high on your list. If we missed anything, let us know. Until next time.
We'll see you racing to the lifeboats to survive these nautical games.
As always, we want to thank you for listening.
Check out our website. We have all sorts of cool things there. Love those blogs. Get a deeper look into the writing side of Meeple Nation.
Join our Facebook group, Meeple Nation Off Air. I look forward to seeing you there.
Follow us on Twitter @MeepleNation. We also have Instagram.
Under the same name. We also want to thank our sponsor, GameToppersLLC.com.
We love their product, and there's so much goodness out there.
And we also want to thank Braden Detergent for our music.
It's a new theme, and this week we are kicking off our discussions of games based on nautical themes.
Naughty nautical themes.
Definitely not.
Naughty as in cool. Come on.
Okay.
So I have to tell you a quick story.
Oh, dear.
After
After that intro, I'm not sure if we can...
Oh, that reminds me
so
of a
there's
story.
there's a little kids show about an investigator. His name is Naughty, and Briggs loves this show. And one day, Adrian was asked. They were talking about stuff, and Adrian asked Briggs what he wanted to be when he got older, and he said, "I want to be naughty." And she's like, "What?" Like, and then he explained that he was talking about Naughty the investigator.
So he wants to be a naughty investigator.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, the story isn't getting any better. Or maybe it is. I don't know.
Ports that were there during that time. During that time period.
I just said that about the last game. It's really enjoyable. What a doofus.
Yeah, you are a doofus.